Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Nick Melvoin, LUSD board member for District 4, and today I'm joining you from the art studio of Pablo Picasso. We'll be joined by LUSD parent and award-winning artist Sheinina Raj, who will be walking us through another drawing project and talking a little bit about her process and just some of the inspiration we can find in art. So I'm so thrilled to be joined by Sheinina Raj, who is a parent at Wonderland, an artist, and someone who I think really understands the therapeutic effects of art. I myself was never a great artist. One of the reasons I love Pablo Picasso, because it made me realize you don't always have to draw within the lines, and I was never good at coloring. But Sheinina is an award-winning and critically acclaimed interdisciplinary artist with tons of experience enriching, with creating art enriching experiences for LA Unified students. She's presented all over the world and has contributed to LA Unified's outdoor learning classrooms program, in addition to being a parent volunteer at Wonderland. So we're going to hear a little from Sheinina about kind of the power of art for kids, but then we're going to dive into our activity, which is art class. So Sheinina, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Nick, and also thank you to your team for having me and providing this opportunity where I may teach an art education lesson from a virtual classroom. And as you mentioned, the importance of art, it certainly does provide vital tools when it comes to support for mental health and wellness and building blocks for self-confidence, critical thinking. And certainly during these unprecedented times, we need all the support we can get and deliver to children within LA Unified and of course around the world. So today's lesson, I will be introducing a diverse, equal, and inclusive approach to art education as we dive into our fun part. I should say, not that that won't be fun, but the fun part I would say as an artist is I love to certainly get my hands dirty and actually start making some art. So I hope to inspire the children today as we go on this journey around the world and hopefully inspire them not only on their own cultures, but other cultures from around the world as well. So thank you for this opportunity again.
Thank you, for doing this and bringing kind of all these diverse perspectives to our blank canvas.
And I do have an art gallery found on Intercultural Worldwide Learning. I thought maybe we could kind of look at some art and be inspired by some other cultures. I'll briefly touch on some of these cultures. As you can see here, there's Indian woman who's wearing a red sari. Red in many cultures is a color of celebration, and actually in India, this would be worn on a bride for her wedding day. We have Mexican woman, we have Navajo woman beside her wearing a traditional winter rug dress, and as many of you may or may not know, Navajo is native to America and is actually the largest recognized tribe in America. Below that, we have Fijian woman, and I thought that was quite interesting as we are so far north in Los Angeles. We are part of the Pacific North Ocean, where Fiji is part of the South Pacific Ocean. Beside Fijian woman, we have Brazilian woman, then we have Iranian woman. As we move below, we have Armenian, and as you can see these beautiful patterns within her outfit. Moroccan woman, for example, wearing the hand of Fatima, which is a peace symbol. We have Saudi Arabian woman wearing a hijab. Turkish woman, Greek, Portugal, and as we go lower, you can see there Inuit woman wearing a parka, Eritrean woman, and Japanese woman. And Rachel, if you don't mind that we click on Japanese woman, because we are going to be inspired by the Japanese culture today and certainly make it our own. As you can see, she's wearing a kimono that has a beautiful stitching within the silk threads of a crane and some foliage and this very vibrant royal blue. These are all self-portraits. So Intercultural is the touring art exhibition where I've portrayed women from 25 nations as I honor ancestral lineage and enlighten cultural ideologies and initiate respect for diversity found within humanity as I unite us for a peaceful coexistence. And within this library, there are 195 countries around the world. So these are all alphabetically listed. So if anyone does want to learn more about a specific culture or even your own culture, please do go ahead and click those links. While looking at this map here in California, we are on the far west coast of America. Now, many of you may be very well born in Los Angeles and maybe not. Maybe you're from New York or Chicago, Seattle, San Francisco. Maybe your family is from another country like our northern neighbor of Canada, South America, maybe Mexico, Brazil, and possibly from across the ocean to Iceland, England, France, Germany, Russia, Africa, Australia, India, for example. But today we're definitely going to jump over to Japan. Well, it is on the map, seems quite far. It's your furthest island almost from our west coast here in California. Actually, if you imagine the world to be round as it is, actually they share the same body of ocean as we do in California. So while it's our west coast, it's their east coast, and we both share the North Pacific Ocean. Maybe we could jump into some of those lovely slides that we had prepared for the children to have as inspiration. As you can see, this is a lovely capture of Japan, and this shows Mount Fuji, which is actually an active volcano. And even though it has snow on it, it's almost hard to imagine, but it is 12,000 plus feet in the air. So it does certainly garner that weather of icy conditions where it allows for that snow. On the bottom left, you'll see the cherry blossoms, so popular within Japanese gardens, and even their architecture with these sort of flying buttress-like roofs that waver off and layer. In the next slide, we'll see their dragon. And you know, it's part of their mythology. You know, it is an island surrounded by water, and like many cultures, there's sort of a mythology that is born as humanity evolved and sort of make sense of the worlds around them and explain it maybe to the children. So it was believed that there is a serpent dragon out in the ocean that would protect the people and had magical powers, and would also support the communities with fishing and livelihood, and was there as certainly a sign of good luck and goodwill. In our next slide, we'll see 3 pictures I selected from a museum in Japan that shows the samurais. During these sort of more ancient times, you'd have these landlords that became almost like these warlords, and everyone had their sort of personal army of samurais that you would find distinction in their clothes, but they were still very protective armor, and the distinction was more in the colors and maybe the shape, the helmets, but essentially they were there to protect the land of the owners, and in some cases even extend their ownership to another landlord's land. So these samurais did battle each other for land rights, and but it is quite beautiful. They still took such care and attention into their clothing and appearance. And if we move to the next slide, we are now looking at kimonos, as I had said in the Japanese woman portrait, that this is a nice full shot of a kimono. And as you can see, they're really inspired by nature. So the one on the left has cherries and leaves, and then there's even a fish swimming at the bottom. The one on the right has, again, that dragon motif that is reflective of their culture and their mythology belief that they share within their community. I believe we have one more slide that also showed kimonos. Yes. So this is just another slide that shows other colors, the bright reds again, which is often a sign of good luck and strength. And this royal blue that really emanates, again, these qualities of earth, the water, the sky, you see the bird, and the natural foliage around it. So I was hopeful that we could be inspired by the shape of a kimono, which essentially, as you can see, is a rectangle in the center, and 2, essentially you could make them squares on the side or smaller rectangles, and then we can go ahead and be inspired by our own culture, whether, where we're from, what our beliefs are, maybe what our favorite things are, our favorite flower, our favorite tree, our pet, a mythological creature that we would love to exist. And then, so let's get on to the drawing part, which again is the part that I'm certainly excited to jump into here.
For those of us at home, we just need a piece of paper, and what are the supplies that are needed so that we can do this?
Well, you know what? A pencil and paper is certainly a good start. I have some colored pencil crayons, but of course, if you have, the children have markers or crayons even, pastels, paint if they wanted. Today, I'm just going to kind of work with pencil crayons. So I'm going to kind of start us off, and like I said, for a kimono, we have, let's think of the center of our paper is a nice large rectangle. Now we don't have to worry about being perfectly straight. The beautiful thing about art is happy accidents, and certainly, you know, it's never meant to be so perfect. That's the beauty of art being sort of this handmade quality, is that you can tell it was done by a hand and not a machine. So I'm going to do what one of the kimonos that had the longer sleeve. So as you can see, this would be the main body for me. And I'm going to actually make a triangle that will kind of represent this crossing over of where the neckline may have been. And as you start to draw, you know, we're starting with a rectangle, but then you can also kind of do in the shoulders if you wanted. But it's important with art, you start to understand breaking down shapes when you're looking at something. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and go straight out, leave a little bit of space, and have the sleeve come down. And you know, kimonos are unisex, which means anybody can wear them. There's not a sense of a male or a female. It's just anyone who wants to wear a kimono can wear a kimono. There's no real rules. And certainly any color you want to wear, any pattern that you would want on it. So as you can see here, this is sort of your basic shape. I did smaller rectangles, I did a larger one. And of course, we can start getting into detail on creases and the seam line in the center. Now, for my mythological creature, I personally love unicorns. So I'm going to go ahead and do a unicorn that might start off as blue. Let's see here. And I might just kind of do a horse's head. And again, if you have a pet, like a dog or a cat, maybe a hamster, a fish even, that you'd like to draw on your kimono, then you can make it whatever color your pet is. While you saw one of the kimonos had featured some of their architectural influence, maybe you could draw your house, your family members, and again, any mythological creature that you wish existed. Maybe your school has a mascot. At Wonderland, we have the coyote, and there's a lot of rainbows around our schoolyard, which are also my favorite, which makes me think I'm going to draw a rainbow next. Okay. Looks like my unicorn needs to be portioned with its body a bit better. I can easily lose track of time when I'm drawing, so.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I find, given all the craziness right now, that it's quite peaceful to just be sitting, focusing on what is admittedly not the best drawing ever done, but that I'm really enjoying.
No judgment here.
So.
And yeah, I'm gonna do, I'm definitely looking forward to drawing a rainbow. But speaking of rainbows, there's the spectrum of light that a rainbow follows, which I'm about to do right now in my rainbow unicorn, which goes yellow, just like the spectrum of light, yellow, orange, red. It's kind of a fuchsia color. And then we have violet. And then we have a blue, this darker blue. green. And then we have indigo, which is kind of an interesting color. It's almost this bluish violet color. And we'll keep going here. Yellow. It looks like my unicorn can end with an orange tip. Okay, so I love rainbows. I'm going to draw more rainbows. You know, and often when you're drawing, you kind of just do an outline and then you get to kind of go back in and get more serious about your details, maybe your shading and defining your shapes a bit more. But yeah, the main thing is that we're having fun, being able to kind of express ourselves through our favorite things. I'm going to outline my flower as well so it kind of stands out when I show you. Rainbow time. Okay, I'm going to make a nice big rainbow over here.
And Sheinina, if I'm trying to work on some of my drawings on the kimono, like the rainbow or the flower or the unicorn, do you have tips like those? I know that artists have kind of the building blocks of how to make an animal or how to make a flower, or what are your tips for folks on how to?
Well, most animals have a similar bone structure, as do humans, right? So, and I did a profile one on this one. So essentially you can, if I come a little closer, let's see here. Let's see if I can get this even closer. And you can see there, it's basically, I started out very lightly drawing a circle to kind of get the first part of the horse's head. And then I kind of came down almost like a bean shape, if you can imagine. It's almost like a bean or a pear shape. That's kind of a very kind of standard shape for a horse. Sometimes the nose would go out further. And again, looking at this more like a triangle, but then I kind of curved my triangle almost like a drop of water. And then I made a little sliver here where I put some color, and then just stacking the horns like little kind of half circles on top of each other, getting smaller as they ascended up. For the flower, of course, there's many types of flowers. I decided to just kind of keep it simple. In the art world, there's also a saying, keep it simple, stupid. So rather than to be so complicated, it's kind of nice to keep it simple sometimes. So this is a flower. You can see it's almost like the idea that you have circles going around. And then I just started with 4 circles, and then I did a circle in the middle, and then I kind of filled it in with these kind of half moons. And then I decided to make those half moon petals, which essentially they stand for darker, and then a yellow center. And then I just came down almost like a very skinny rectangle that had a slight waver to it. And that's how I formed the stem of the flower. And then coming up, again, imagining like a kind of like elongated, stretched out triangle that kind of has a slight curvature to it. And of course, rainbows, I think most of us are pretty good at doing a rainbow, just a bunch of half circles on top of each other, just kind of getting larger as it moves up the spectrum of light which it represents. So again, the spectrum of light that completes the rainbow, while the color wheel has 6 colors on it, the rainbow actually, a full spectrum light rainbow actually has 7 colors. So you have yellow, orange, red, violet, blue, green, and then indigo. So let's see, maybe I will just make this rainbow sitting on with some sun. Maybe I'll do some sun in the background. I'm gonna just go ahead and do another kind of half moon, half circle shape. I'm just gonna completely color it in. And colors really do have an emotional reaction that you will react to color. So yellow generally is considered something that inspires you to be kind of happy and feel good. Orange is energy. Red sometimes can be an alert color, something that captures your eye, and your eye is almost always drawn to color, the color red, let's say. And some believe that red, while they have no real way of proving it, I guess, they do believe that that is due to potentially, it may have very well been the first color that we began to see as our eyes developed as humans. And you'll notice that if you have hummingbirds around, which there's a lot in Laurel Canyon, I have a hummingbird feeder myself, they're always attracted to red as well, and they believe that hummingbirds potentially see in the color red, whereas the color red is the most active color for their retina. Okay, now maybe I'll just maybe I'll do a drop of water, because that's what inspires a rainbow, right? The rainbow is created when the sun is refracting off of drops of water in the sky. So that's why when you see a rainbow, there's a lot of moisture in the air. And often if it's raining outside and the sun is peeked out from behind the cloud, you can capture a rainbow in the distance. So I'm going to represent what created my rainbow with some droplets of water. And, you know, I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I didn't have a big, huge plan as to what I would draw, but I do know my favorite things and what makes me happy. So same for you kids out there. Whatever makes you happy to think about, maybe something you would like to share as your favorite things. Maybe you have a favorite toy, a favorite pet again. We do a lot of volunteer work, actually in Laurel Canyon as well, at a pet rescue house. So we love teaching the dogs how to, you know, do their tricks and actually follow commands, as well as, you know, bottle feed the new kittens, all that sort of stuff. Maybe I'll draw a cat next. And first, I'll put some grass at the bottom of my kimono. You know, art is an exercise of patience, right? There's no rush. Usually that's what's so great about when you appreciate some artwork is, you know, you can tell the person took a lot of time and attention to create what they have, that you're being able to experience and observe and appreciate. And part of the appreciation is the quality and the time and the patience it would have taken them to create their work of art. So in art, there's many different mediums. So of course we're doing drawing, there's painting, sculpture, photography, visual art projection. There's also performance art. So when Nick had mentioned that I'm an interdisciplinary artist, it takes a lot of discipline, hence time, to master a medium. And once you've mastered that medium, artists are referred to as being disciplined in that medium. So interdisciplinary means that I'm able to work with many mediums for one finished piece of art. So in my case, that would be drawing, painting, photography, as well as visual art projection. With intercultural, there is a performance aspect to it, as they are self-portraits. Let's see here. And maybe some of you do dance. You can also maybe you take ballet. Maybe you want to put some ballet shoes on your kimono. Maybe you play baseball. You want to put a baseball bat on there. Maybe your parents work in film and you want to do a movie camera to express what your mom or dad does when they are often away from home working. This is, well, it's an unprecedented time and we're all making the most of it. This is a really excellent time for us to take the time to learn more about each other, have discussions we've never had before, maybe share artwork with each other. Art communicates in what's considered a universal language. So sometimes what you may not be able to quite articulate certainly can be expressed in a drawing. How you're feeling, maybe the color you choose expresses an emotion. Maybe you're feeling very happy, you want to really focus on your yellows and your oranges, or maybe you simply just love the color blue. Maybe it's because it reminds you of the ocean.
For those of you following at home, I encourage you to continue adding to your beautiful kimonos. Sheinina and I are going to show you what our finished drawings look like, but we, again, encourage you to continue drawing into the weekend, and this is a great opportunity to be creative and have some kind of alone time as you connect with your inner Pablo Picasso or Minion or whoever your inspiration artistically may be. Thanks.
Okay, well, I think that I've completed my kimono, so I hope that your drawing is coming along nicely. You know, there's no exact time on how much time we would spend on our drawing. It's just as long as it makes you happy and you feel like it's complete. I'm going to go ahead and show you my kimono. As you can see on the right-hand side there, I made a peace symbol, I did a cloud, I did a roller skate, again on the main body, a unicorn, a butterfly, a flower. And as I thought about all the things that make home special for me, I drew my house, the beautiful tree by my house, and we always have a fun time joking about the squawky squirrel, who the squirrel might be squawking at, maybe one of them is taking its nuts, or he wants to make sure no one's in this tree. Flowers, and again, butterflies. There's so many different patterns that you can do on a butterfly. And again, since I love rainbows, I did a rainbow on the left sleeve and did the elements of that create the rainbow, from the sunshine to the raindrops and beautiful blades of grass. So I hope you enjoyed this drawing lesson, and I certainly would love to see your drawings as well and better learn about your favorite things that you've created on your kimono. So thank you again, Nick, for this opportunity, and I hope we've certainly inspired the children today in this art education lesson from this virtual classroom. Thank you.